Hello everyone and welcome to the first Hard Court podcast, and today we're going to be talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo and why, despite what the media may claim, he can be one of the all-time great players in the NBA when it's all said and done. Real quick though, before we get into the video, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button as it would really mean a lot to me. I'd love to get this channel off to a great start. So thank you guys for that, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. Giannis Antetokounmpo was drafted with the 15th pick in the 2013 NBA draft by the Milwaukee Bucks as a prospect that people were unsure of, as he would take a lot of development to pan out in the NBA. And, well, Giannis has developed to expectations and then miles and galaxies beyond that, as he has been one of the best players in the NBA for multiple years now. And when we look at Giannis's game, what does he do well? Why is he so great? Well, he's one of the most dominant players, if not the most dominant player, around the rim in the entirety of the NBA. As he's an elite finisher, an elite rebounder, he dominates underneath. And to go along with that, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. With his length, his ability to guard almost any player on the court, he's a great shot blocker. Giannis is a special player, and for all of those reasons, he has a ton of success early in his career. He's already won a championship, along with 2 Most Valuable Player awards, a Defensive Player of the Year award, and at this point in his career, is already more accomplished in those regards than many of the other players we consider some of the greatest of all time, like Michael Jordan and LeBron James. So, obviously, Giannis is going to be a special player in the NBA, and end up as one of the all-time great NBA players, right? Well, some people, somehow, are still skeptical of Giannis's game and Giannis as a prospective all-time great player. Now, when talking about Giannis negatively, there will be one central argument that turns into more arguments against him. That one central argument, that, quote, fatal flaw being that Giannis is not a great shooter. And because of that, he can be shut down in the playoffs. He isn't great at playing with other stars. He doesn't really make his teammates better because he can't space the floor. Well, what if I told you that Giannis doesn't need to be a great shooter to do all of those things? Yes, Giannis does have a flaw as a shooter, but by no means is it a fatal one. But Spencer, it's a 3-point shooting league. No way Giannis can be one of the best without it. Well, when I look at Giannis, I see a guy that is so special at everything else that he does, that he doesn't need to be a great shooter to be special and one of the best in the game, despite it being something that many of the elite guys in today's game share. In this way, Giannis reminds me of Tom Brady in the NFL. Tom Brady, who many consider the GOAT, or at least one of the greatest players in NFL history, does not have an elite ability to extend a play. He's not going to roll out of the pocket, create with his legs. He's not remarkably mobile, like some of the guys are nowadays, like a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, or a Lamar Jackson. But throughout his career, he didn't need to be great. Because of his elite accuracy, because of his processing, because of his great arm, Tom Brady was able to be special regardless. Giannis, just like Tom Brady, doesn't need to be a shooter in a league of shooters because he does everything else so well. And by doing this, Giannis can still do all of the things the media says he can't. Giannis does more than just put up a lot of stats. He makes his team better. Giannis draws the most double teams in the NBA, leaving his teammates open more than any other player in the league. Just by being on the court, Giannis creates opportunities for his teammates to get open shots. And because of this, Giannis elevates those around him like many of the all-time greats have in the past. Now, not only is elevating those around you important in the NBA, but as one of my great friends into sports always says, the NBA is about being able to play well with other stars. And this, once again, is where Giannis's difference in play style comes into play. Because when we talk about Giannis, we often talk about how he needs to be surrounded by shooters to have success. Well, lucky for Giannis, it's a three-point shooting league. And because of this, many of the league's best are elite shooters of the basketball. We look around at Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic. Many of the elite players in the NBA do things that complement Giannis perfectly. Giannis is built to play and gel with many of the other stars in the NBA. So if that's what it's all about, Giannis is built perfectly for it. And when it comes to the playoffs, people tend to talk about how Giannis's one-dimensional play, his lack of shooting, is why he isn't built for the playoffs. Well, why don't you have a chat with the Nets and ask if Giannis struggles in the playoffs? Because his 39.7 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 5 assists per game would say otherwise. Giannis is such a matchup issue in the NBA, and that does not disappear in the playoffs. And yes, we have seen Giannis struggle at times in the playoffs. But to that, I have two things to say. The first being, there has not been a star in memory that has not had a bad playoff series or two in their career. That includes guys like LeBron James. That includes guys like Michael Jordan. So why is the expectation here different with Giannis? And the second thing I have to say is, the Bucks' makeup allows defenses to put some extra attention on Giannis, especially in the playoffs. There is no true second star or superstar on the Bucks. Yeah, you have Chris Middleton, but you never really know what you're going to get with him. He's not a guy that you're confident in, night out to deliver. So, opposing defenses are given a little bit of leeway in being able to stop Giannis with multiple guys, as they don't have another guy who can consistently win the Bucks a game. Despite what you may have heard, Giannis can play in the playoffs, and his lack of shooting is not a reason that he cannot win in the playoffs. The media has told us now, time and time again, that Giannis's shooting is what will hold him back from being one of the all-time greats in the NBA. And so I ask you, does the same thing apply for the other great power forwards in NBA history as well? Because if Giannis's fatal flaw is his shooting, then it must be the fatal flaw of Tim Duncan, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett, and Charles Barkley too, because they shot a whopping 17.9%, 27.4%, 27.5%, and 26.6% from three over their careers, as compared to Giannis's 28.9% career three-point percentage, which has actually increased as his career has gone on. What about a guy like Shaq, just like Giannis, who dominated the glass and the paint? Is Shaq not a top player of all time? I haven't heard anything like that. So, my point is that none of these guys needed to be great shooters to be considered all-time greats in the NBA, because they did other things at an elite level. So why do things change when it comes to Giannis? So, the media has pinned Giannis as a guy that cannot be one of the league's greatest because of his lack of shooting in a shooter's league. But as we go beyond the surface-level myths about his playoff struggles and difficulty playing with teammates, it becomes clear that the media is in the wrong. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a player like none other we have seen before, and when it comes down to it, he will be one of the greatest players to have ever played the game of basketball.